We talk about the new Chevrolet Tahoe and Suburban. We compare the BMW 4 Series with the M235i. Talk about the Audi A3, and we ask you, what is the worst car of all time? Next on Talking Cars. Hi, and welcome to Talking Cars with Consumer Reports. I'm Tom Mutchler.
I'm John Limco.
I'm Gabe Schenhofer.
Well, we've got a lot of new stuff here at the track, but we have some pretty big news, as you can see by what's parked behind us. We bought a new Chevrolet Tahoe, and then we went out and bought a new Chevrolet Suburban. We've also had a couple press cars in this family. We've had
the Denali, GMC.
We had GMC,
and the
Yukon
Escalade.
XL Denali, and a Cadillac Escalade. So, first impressions?
Well, they're big, all right.
Yes, yeah,
And, you know, there is something underwhelming about these cars. The Tahoe feels underpowered with that 5.3 liter. There is something very old school about the car. I mean, that shifter is maybe it's something you can accept in a pickup truck.
You mean having the column shifter?
That column shifter, I mean, it's far away, it's high effort. I mean, it doesn't belong in a $60,000 typical Tahoe or $70,000 Suburban LTZ.
I mean, that's the thing. These things are crazy ass money. I mean, our Tahoe, which is not loaded, you know, I mean, it's
an LT only.
It's doing okay. It's
Right.
an LT, but it's got 18-inch wheels, which look very underwhelming and very undersized. 60 grand. That Suburban, which is, I love the color combination.
Barney purple.
Yeah.
It looks good.
I think it's sharp looking.
I like the Barney purple. It's got brown leather. I've gotten some unprintable YouTube comments about how many times I mention brown leather. It sounds like a fetish. We're going to leave it there.
Yeah,
We're not
judging.
We're not going to. I appreciate you not judging. Thank you. Anyway, I mean, it's a nice color combination. It's got a lot of features. It's $70,000.
Yeah.
And that GMC Yukon Denali XL, it was $77,000.
Yeah, with the power running boards and, you know, a lot of features.
Well, you need the
And
running boards, though.
You do, and I'm kind of not sure, do you need the power ones or the standard ones? The standard ones, you know, when it's muddy, you're dragging your feet against it, you're dragging your pant leg against it, like I did over the weekend. With the power one, you're waiting for it to come out.
Did you have the tan pants on?
What I did, I had tan pants.
I hope those socks didn't get dirty.
The socks didn't get dirty at
That
all,
would really
so,
suck.
Yeah.
Well,
you know.
either way, I mean,
Socks or no socks?
The step in height is ridiculously high.
Yep.
I mean, it's a very ungracious affair, especially when you talk about a Cadillac Escalade. I mean, that thing is almost $90,000.
$90,000.
And
It's easier to climb into a GL.
it's
just
easier to climb
far
into
easier.
the GL or the Range
Mercedes
Rover,
Benz.
anything.
Both financially and physically.
Yeah.
Our GL was only 72.
Oh, yeah.
Only.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, only 72,
love
but
that.
still, you know, get versus 90,000, and those are the two that they occupy the competitive landscape. You know, you're looking at it, Escalade or the Mercedes GL.
Actually, our Range Rover cost less. Our Range Rover was 88 grand.
Yeah.
It was less than that Escalade.
And
the
that-
press car Escalade.
And that car is truly a luxurious kind of car. And the Escalade is, I mean, it's got the bling, but the bling is not enough there.
Well, you know, even the Yukon Denali. Now, I mean, I always thought the Yukon Denali was kind of a badass car. You know, I'm remembering it back to the days of, what's the show? Queer Eye for the Science Guy. What was it?
Oh, yeah, right.
Queer Eye,
yeah.
the straight guy. Yeah.
Queer Eye for the straight guy, and Bill Nye the science guy. Let's keep our markets together.
Thank you. I appreciate the help. You know, I mean, it used to be kind of a cool-looking SUV, and now, yeah, you know, just kind of.
I took that, and that had the bigger engine. Didn't have the 5.3.
The 6.2.
It has a
Yeah,
6.2.
6.2.
Denali gets you a 6.2.
And I carried 6 people around, rainy day. You know, I had a couple like tall people in the third row, and they were okay. You know, it was very comfortable, but I don't know if I would have driven that taken that versus a GL if I had the option. You know, but that got out of its way at least. The small engine, like you alluded to, you know, it just feels gutless. It feels as if it's too compensating for fuel economy. It wants to go into 4-cylinder mode too often. The transmission shifting up really quickly out of the gate, and you're lugging it. So then you're stomping into it, and you're defeating all of that fuel economy savings.
Yeah, and you're stomping into it, and it sounds strained and not pleasant at all.
Well, it's also, neither is the ride. I mean,
No.
these big GM SUVs, one of their attributes used to be they rode great, even on 20s. They rode really well. There's always this constant little. I took our Tahoe for a long trip to Pennsylvania. You know, between my wife complaining about the ride, the 16 miles per gallon we got out of the thing. My poor mom having to, my poor 5 foot tall mom having to climb into the back seat of it to take her out to dinner for Easter. Just.
I didn't like I felt steering column shudder a bit, which haven't really felt in a long time in a vehicle, aside from older convertibles. I felt some of that. It's a slightly offset, I think you mentioned that as well.
It's offset a little bit to the right.
And the seats, at least in the Tahoe, now the Denali was nice, the Escalade, they were nice, even the Tahoe that they had dropped off, which was an LTZ, was nice. These seats in our LT, I feel like I'm sitting on the bolsters, so that the center of the cushion is really narrow and low, and I'm
Might have
propped
just
up.
been a fat day for John.
It might have been a fat day. It might have been a day, I didn't get on the bike. But, I'm not a big guy.
No.
And I'm sitting on the seat, which wasn't really comfortable, and there's not a lot of shoulder support. So just not pleasant. And that was a 250, 300 mile trip. So
Yeah, I mean, someone asked me on Twitter, would you go with a Yukon or a Tahoe, or would you go with a Dodge Durango?
To me, it's not even a question.
Yeah, I mean, the Durango drives so much better. But the thing is, I understand, here's a guy who, he wants to carry 3 adults in the back seat, and Durango's more narrow. These things are wide in the back. We got captain's chairs in ours, but still, if you get the bench, it's a big, wide bench. You want to tow, you can put together a case for buying one of these. But I think not many people have that case. They sell a lot of these.
I will say, though, they sell a lot of these. And, I mean, GM owns that market.
Sure.
They have like 74% of that market between those 3 brands.
The Sequoia's ancient. The Expedition's getting a light refresh.
I mean, the Nissan thing is pretty
no,
crappy.
No, don't.
But if it's a towing track day boat type of play vehicle, I'd buy a used one versus spending a ton of money on a new one of these. If you're going to really
the cabin's
use it
nicer on
hard,
these.
but if you're going to use it hard,
But if you're going to use it hard, maybe you just ought to buy a Silverado. I find these more impressive as a Silverado than I do when you pay 10 grand more and you get the
Yeah, I mean, it's all a matter of context.
if it's a family vehicle and you're looking at some of those costs, again, that's when you start, cross shopping with the GL.
Yeah.
Cross shopping with some of those luxury vehicles, the other luxury competitors, because they do some things far better than this big, roofed over pickup truck.
Yeah, I want to move away from family vehicles, but I definitely do want to talk about context. This is a tale of 2 BMW coupes. We had a press car 435i here, and we own an M235i test car. Opinions in the office are slightly split when it comes to the 4 Series. John?
It serves BMW's market as their, market and an owner base as they're moving forward, which is to say that
The 4 Series.
The 4 Series, which means they're shedding the E30, E36 fan base, and they're going towards a big, more voluptuous cruiser mentality. I hate the car.
You hate the car.
I dislike the 435. I was unimpressed. I was bored by it. I didn't have any enjoyment out of that vehicle. It was very hard. You had to ring it if you wanted to really enjoy it. It didn't have any snap to it. It just felt ponderous.
Gabe? Fight?
Well, the car is, I mean, I can see that the younger members of our staff aren't impressed with the 4 Series. I mean, it doesn't have that edginess of typical.
It's a shame you're not mature enough to appreciate the awesomeness that is the 4 Series.
I'm compensating with the 2 little kids.
Well,
I need to get out and be aggressive.
I mean, that car, there's nothing in your face with that car. I mean, it's very understated, it's very mature, it's very grown up. It's a gentleman's kind of a coupe. It's sort of like what the 6 Series coupe was a few years ago. And I mean, it costs like $60,000.
The test car, yeah.
The press car they gave us was 57 grand, and it was like this enthusiast ringer. You will not find it. You will not find this car.
You won't find a manual one or a rear-wheel drive one.
That's right. It's a stick shift. It's rear drive. It had I'm going to get the names of this stuff wrong. It had like the dynamic handling package. It had the M's, which you have to pay $1,000 for. It used to be all BMWs had good steering. Now you pay $1,000 to get the better steering.
None of that really transforms the car into a spectacular kind of drive, like the previous generation was. But it's a very satisfying kind of car in a different way. And
unless you're John.
And BMW is, I have to say, I mean,
Listen with the cool kids. The cool kids don't like it. What can I say?
The old fogies like Gabe and I like it.
You know,
Your walkers will fit well in the trunk.
I'll just say people that write for car magazines don't buy BMWs probably.
No.
And those
I've
that
seen my check, so yeah, I don't like it.
And those that do probably appreciate the more grown-up kind of feel. So BMW is growing with its customers, unless they're serving the Chinese market.
We don't hear Ultimate Driving Machine as much. Just like people make fun of Porsche that they're the most profitable car coming out there. Look, who's buying the car? People who want something softer. They don't want raw. They don't want edgy.
The thing
They're
is,
serving a market that if they sell it, then it's working.
I mean, I like the 4 Series. I liked it very much. It's a grand touring car. The seats are terrific. The engine's very nice. I like sedans more than sports cars. But the thing that gets me is the M235i. You're not making any concessions for civility.
No.
But everybody on the staff loves that car.
I think it's direct lineage to the E30, E36 that I talked about.
Just
that
because
the 4
it's
Series
smaller?
wasn't. It has a nimbleness, a litheness to it.
Ooh, lightness.
Yep.
You're the writer guy.
Quick. You don't have to ring it. It's
the same engine.
Snappy
Yeah.
response. More snappy
Yeah,
response.
more
to
horsepower
it.
in the M235i, but yeah, it's basically the same killer powertrain. Yeah,
You're giving up the rear seats, but few people in coupes are putting people in the rear seats anyway.
But it
so.
certainly has that edginess and that compact and lithe feeling.
I remember the 1 Series that we had, and I remember driving it through Stamford, Connecticut in the Merritt and going, why is everyone going so slow? No, I was the BMW driving jerk because I was doing 85 miles an hour going, oh gosh, it was so easy.
Well,
this
that
car is even
was
better than that.
truly spectacular.
One of my favorite experiences here was we had hired a helicopter to come in and do some track shooting, and I was doing acceleration with the 135i, and it was a little piston-powered Robinson, so they aren't that fast. I was able to pull on the helicopter. I was able to outrun.
That's a great car.
It was
I
a
remember
great-
another experience.
Unreliable as all hell.
Well, I was gonna say, except for the fact that it
The
had
turbo.
turbo problems and
Well, Jake and I did that 300 horsepower club thing at the track with the 135i, the Evo, the Mitsubishi Evo, and the
STI.
STI.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that car was spectacular. Even though the Evo was fast around the track, but driving that 135i was an experience.
Yeah. But the M235 catches some of that.
It's almost there, but you certainly pay a price for that a little bit. The ride is a little jittery.
$50,000.
And, yeah, it's
50 grand.
It's pricey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, something that's going to compete with the 2 Series is our Audi A3.
Yeah, with the lower level 2 Series.
Not the
228i.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. Our A3 is a pretty nice car.
It is.
it reminds me a lot dimensionally, looks-wise, of the kind of the car that got Audi started back in the United States, the B6 level A4, the 1996
B5?
era. B5, you're right, sorry.
I gotta make
B5,
sure
I said 96.
The Volkswagen people will get angry.
That's right, I owned one, I would get hate mail.
I owned a
B5
B5
level, A4 from 1996 on. Same dimensions, so the A3's grown up a little bit.
I'm just amazed by how many people I knew who owned that car.
Yeah.
You had one. I had a whole bunch of friends who owned them. They all owned sticks.
Yep.
Ironically, you can't get a stick in the A3.
In the A3, right.
It's all dual clutch.
Which is okay. It feels like a very quick car. See the pan stuff, both the Presser I had time in, and then as well as
Our
ours.
Presser had the 2 liter.
quattro.
Our
Yeah.
car
Yeah.
has a 1.8 front
front.
drive.
It's nice.
When you look at it in context, all these luxury cars that are trying to be affordable, like the Lexus CT, the Acura ILX, the Mercedes CLA, none of those cars give you that kind of experience. But the Audi actually does succeed in giving you the Audi DNA. It feels like an Audi when you drive it, when you look at it. Sure, it's a little austere inside, but it's $31,000 for an Audi.
Can't get brown leather standard. Dude.
But you could also make the argument that it's not that different from a Golf or a Jetta for
I
a lot
think the
less.
Golf's closer to Jetta, but yeah,
But,
you can definitely make that argument.
A lot of blank switches and stuff like that make it feel a little empty inside. I'm personally thinking down the road of ownership with that raising and lowering the screen constantly. What the heck's that going to be?
It drives our cameraman nuts because you try to put the SLR, the 5D on it to shoot us, and the screen goes up and the camera goes out of it.
Little things. It certainly is better than the oddball hatchback that didn't.
But they
didn't
complained
really
and they
sell.
brought the hatchback
Well,
back.
people did. Yeah,
Like,
the diesel.
All the loyal
Only the
A3
diesel
TDI
and the e-tron plug-in hybrid.
But they're not going to get
it's
it
a
doesn't matter
niche.
about all the people on forums. Everyone wants that twin turbo hybrid diesel wagon performance 7-speed stick and
For 28 grand.
Right, and they all say they'll buy it and no one buys it. People buy sedans. This is what they're going to get people into with cheap leases and maybe some
and you
cheap,
know
some
what?
low
I mean,
prices.
it comes across
Oh, the price
as
is
an Audi.
good. It's
It is,
it's
but
32 grand with a nice level.
People
of
lease
equipment.
like crazy. It gets people who should be buying maybe Jettas or Golfs or something that's more affordable that gets them into the luxury lane.
No, they'll sell every one of those.
Yeah, I think the A3 is going to be very successful. One
Yeah.
thing I want to leave everybody with, I'm going to wrap up talking about cars there, but there's a question I want to ask our audience. I was asked at a car show recently by one of our very loyal fans, what is the worst car ever made? And I had a hard time answering him. But I want to know what the audience thinks. I want to see in the comments, in those YouTube comments, or you can get a hold of me at Twitter at CRCarsTom. We'll put the other guys' Twitter's address up as well. I want to know what you think. The worst car of all time, and we'll talk about it in the next episode. Oh? Are you you're going to go with the damn Mercedes CLA again, aren't you?
No.
So we'll see you next time. Thanks as always for listening.